Welcome to Not Your Average Neighbor, the podcast celebrating inspiring individuals and the amazing work they do in our community. I'm Ann Roushar, your host, inviting you to join me as we shine a light on stories of resilience, connection, and good news. Let's build a neighborhood that uplifts and inspires, one story at a time. Howdy, neighbors. It's Ann Roushar, Not Your Average Neighbor, here with another weekly episode. And today, my guest is one of my favorite Not Your Average Neighbors. I feel like they say that about everyone, but it really is true in this case. He is Chris Terukina, and he is the Cedar Rapids Area Association of Realtors president for 2025. So welcome, Chris. We are so happy to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Born and raised in Cedar Rapids. Went to the University of Iowa. That's where I met Sally, my wife. We've got two boys, eight and a half, and just turned 5. We lived down in Iowa City for about 10 years, and then Sally and I moved back up to Cedar Rapids about 10 years ago now. And we're raising our family here, and we just love this community.
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, I have never lived outside of Cedar Rapids, so I can't compare it, but we do have a good little city here. I would say that for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely want to check out the new Cedar Rapids sign down on Mays Island. That is evidently just a waste of money, but I think it looks good.
Yeah, I'm going to get my picture by it. I haven't been there yet either,
sure.
But I will. Yeah,
for sure. We're going to be proud of our city. And I was talking to you before and thought maybe it would be fun to learn a little bit about how you became a realtor.
Sure. So I actually, where do I start? So when I graduated high school, I went to the University of Iowa and I took the scenic route through college. I went for a few semesters, not realized I was doing very poorly, just wasn't engaged with my studies. And so I had the tough conversation with my parents that I needed to step away and just work and figure out what it was that I wanted to do with my life and as an adult. So I started, doing my own thing down there. I worked in restaurants for a really long time and all kinds of restaurants, short order, sit down, all of that, all around Iowa City and North Liberty. And I bring that up because I think that's where I learned a lot about customer service and how much I love helping people. Because it wasn't just about putting out food or how quickly I could turn around a ticket. Right. I loved when people smiled and said thank you and said this was an amazing experience.
It's no easy feat. I was in food service a long time too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crab apples out there.
Right.
So,
and it actually, some places I worked at were better than others. But one thing that was consistent with the good places, it was the team around me. So it was never just me putting out a great experience. It was everyone who was a part of that team, front of the house, back of the house, management. That's what left the resounding impact with our customers and had them coming back for more. So I guess you could say I kind of got addicted to that feeling and helping people and just always putting a smile on people's face. So anyways, I did that for about 6 years. Was actually pretty certain I was going to open a restaurant. Oh. At one point, I met Sally in the middle in there at some point, and it was one night I was bartending, and I got home at about 1:30 in the morning and realized I just don't want to work those hours, even though sometimes being a realtor demands that too. But I didn't want to have those kind of hours forever, and so that's when I decided to go back to school and I studied recreation and sport management and got my entrepreneurial management certificate from the University of Iowa. So from there, I graduated in 3 semesters. So overall, it took me 10 years, but I did graduate. No judging. Did graduate, the first job I had was selling women's activewear, and footwear.
I'm sure Sally was like, yay.
Yeah, she got a whole bunch of free gear.
Yeah, exactly.
She got to try stuff out because, as you can imagine, somebody looking like myself driving to a sport club in Naperville with a duffel bag of sports bras, you kind of get some looks. So, so I learned, again, the customer side of it, trying to take care of people, but that role also taught me how to be uncomfortable and how to work through it, how to continue to be personable, even though I'm not the one wearing this sports bra. I had to try to connect it with people, and it was a good experience. So
did you ever try one on? Just
no, I didn't.
To give a personal description.
Nope.
Well, maybe that would have helped.
There were other women in our office too, and I deferred to their comments and my wife's comments. So I just kept it at that. People were pretty understanding when I didn't say, yeah, I tried this on myself.
They're probably pretty appreciative.
Yeah. So from there was a point when I was at that job where there were some tough things going on with the company that I was working for. And our president and CEO brought us all into a room. There were about 8 of us in that office and said, hey, I think you all should consider looking at other jobs, which is hard to do. Obviously they didn't want us to leave, but there were some things going on that were outside of our control. And so at that point, that was when I first started to explore real estate, started researching what it meant to get licensed, the classes were like, how you get paid being a realtor, what's that like?
Yeah, exactly.
And that was sort of when I first started to get to know it. And then as I was thinking about making the jump, I received another job offer to another company. So I went there, but kind of always kept tabs on real estate. And then after that job was restructured and my position was eliminated, I was given a severance package that sort of gave me that extra boost, like now or never. I've got a little cushion to take a jump and bet on myself. And so I did. And I haven't looked back since. It's been awesome. I've been it'll be 6 years in September. So I've really enjoyed it.
Awesome. So I mentioned that you are the president of the Realtors of Cedar Rapids Association. Yeah. And I just wonder, obviously you've been in 6 years, you say, in September. Did you foresee that happening so soon?
Nope. It was not on my bingo card, as they say.
Right.
In fact, I remember when I received the call to join the board. I was still relatively new. That was probably 3 years ago now. And it was from Raymond, and our good friend Raymond. And
shout out Raymond.
Yeah. And I was in Hawaii at the time on a family trip. Oh, yeah. And I think it was 6 a.m. Hawaii time.
Okay.
And it just so happened that during this trip, our entire family was stricken with COVID. Oh. So I was miserable, hadn't slept very well. My phone rings at 6 a.m. and it's bubbly Raymond. Yeah. Hey, so I got to talk to you about something. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? And so maybe he caught me at the right time. I didn't get to think about it too much, but I don't know. I just tried to get involved. I'm a big believer in getting involved with our community and our association. Our association offers a lot of great opportunities for our members, whether it's committees or events. It's really beneficial, I think, for all of us to find time to participate in those, because we get to know our fellow realtors outside of a transaction. I find that incredibly beneficial. And I think sometimes people say, well, I'm not going to sell Ann Roushar a house. Why would I go do an event with her? It's like, well, that's not really the point. It's you're building a relationship with somebody, but also Ann and I might have a deal together someday. And when I when I call Ann or schedule a showing on one of her listings, we've already broken down that barrier,
Right.
Broken it down.
Absolutely. I'm such a huge advocate of people getting involved, especially, well, I would love people who may have gotten involved a long time ago to come back too. Like,
for sure.
But it's especially important, I think, when you're first starting out and you are drinking from a fire hose and getting so much information and trying to build your business. But it's the biggest impact you can have on your business is getting to know other realtors and lenders, all sorts of different business owners that are a part of our membership. And it's a no-brainer to me. But yeah, so when I hear someone say it's not going to benefit me, it absolutely will. It absolutely will. And if you're not doing it, please take this as your sign to sign up. We will be having, actually, I'm hosting the November breakfast meeting, Chris, side note. And we're just going to break down all of the committees, and hopefully that will get a little bit more involvement or people at least asking questions about all of the opportunities that we have and learn more about them, because we're on PR together, public relations. I'm on scholarship committee and then the RPAC chairperson. You are on
PR,
Habitat, correct?
Yep.
And PR and
governmental
the
affairs.
Board president. Yeah. Governmental affairs. It doesn't, we don't have to be up all of those. We choose to be.
Right.
Because governmental affairs is always very informative. PR is our opportunity to get involved in our community a little bit more. And I just can't say enough for those new or realtors who haven't participated lately to definitely join us and make a difference and make some new connections, because it really means a lot.
Well, and I think part of it too is when you're brand new in this business, and every once in a while somebody gets licensed and they might have that first client in their pocket, right? That does happen. For quite a few agents, though, they're starting with a blank slate. I found, especially for myself, so I didn't have my first closing for 6 months.
Same.
Things get pretty dark. And you're like, am I ever going to make this work, or is it ever going to work for me? And if you just stay in the grind of chasing leads or cold calling people or whatever, I mean, yes, that's one way to do it. And eventually you do need to get clients, obviously, too. But I found for myself, the uplifting part was going into these events and trying to participate in committees, going to our free CEUs every month, because I was surrounding myself with not only other people, but I was surrounding myself with the industry, with our local association. It was all around me. So I was sort of forcing myself to become a realtor, even though the business hadn't started yet, and I think that's important, because it can be pretty easy to lose your way if you're not getting the deals. And so
absolutely,
the best way to do it is to just show up and
plus lenders love new realtors. They will do lunch.
Oh, I got so many lunches out of it.
From free lunches, and it's amazing. So
I didn't pay for a meal for like the first 2 months.
I'm like, can I take a to-go box home?
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's not that dire, but yes, I think that we are cut from the same cloth and good for you that you did sales. I guess I did sales without even knowing it most of my career, but if I ever have to call someone on the phone or knock on a door, I am like rethinking my entire life, because that's just not my jam. Now, people who do it, good for you. I admire that, your freaking cojones, and good for you. I just can't do it.
For sure.
So Well, briefly, before we get into me sharing our friendship journey, because I kind of think it goes seamlessly into that conversation. However, you mentioned Hawaii, and this mural is quite large. This is an homage to our trip to Hawaii when I came back. The beauty and the specialness of where we went to Maui for 10 days and enjoyed a magical time as a family.
Yeah.
And so, and I like ours because it's my last name, but so I had to put an R in, but yeah, that's
awesome.
That is Hawaii to us.
I like it. Yeah. And just for anybody watching who doesn't know, like, so my dad was born and raised in Hawaii on the North Shore of Oahu. And after he graduated high school, he went to college in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So I still have family there. My grandparents are still there. Consider myself extremely blessed to have a place like that to visit. It's fun to go out there with our family, but yeah, so that's why Hawaii comes up quite a bit when people are talking with me.
Absolutely. Well, you represent both very, very well. Like I said, kind of the next segment I want to talk about is how, I like to bring up our first friendship memory, and my friendship memory that started really my admiration of you is because you admired me. Just kidding. But kind of. And that is, I was at the second board meeting for the Cedar Rapids Area Association of Realtors, and I was real nervous because they put me in charge of like a committee. I'm like, hello, have you met me?
You were brand new to it, right?
Yes. I was chosen to be our RPAC chair, and is the Realtor Political Action Committee. And we have one locally in Cedar Rapids that we advocate for homeowners and property rights and all of the things that are important to being a homeowner. And so we have to talk to politicians, and luckily we have amazing people working at the state level. And so our job is really just getting the word about why and how investing makes a difference in not only our profession, but in our community. And political is the big word in that sentence. And as I'm sure you've gotten the vibe, if you've listened, I believe in humans. I believe in human rights and humanity and all of the things. For if I'm doing well, I want my neighbor to do well. And so I had to speak in front of the board, and I was like, oh my God. And then of course I started crying because that's what I do. And because all eyes were on me. And then I was also speaking about something very passionate. So anyway, long story short, after the meeting, and Chris I believe you were in the position to be you were at the vice
president-elect.
And so, I mean, I think I could have heard a pin drop when I talked. And I was like, okay, well, this is real awkward. But nevertheless, you came over afterwards and you said, thank you so much, because again, we are cut from the same cloth, and kind of, we definitely believe in humanity and all of that good stuff. And sometimes politics gets in the way of that. But again, what I tried to explain there, and what I've told you several times, is that it's not about me. It's not about me in this realm. It is about our profession. It is about homeowners and the laws that affect us as a community. And to have that dream of owning a home, it needs fought for, it needs protected. And so needless to say, once you came over and said, thank you for saying that, I was like, oh, you're welcome. And then, here we are years later, and we're now old friends.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciated too in that moment that you showed some vulnerability, and you were honest about it. You didn't just put on a mask and say like, okay, here's what we're doing. I mean, you were able to, I think, convey to everybody why you were wrestling with it a little bit, but the way that you spoke about it, it helped me understand it differently as well. What RPAC is and why it's beneficial for what we do, and why not all politics, it doesn't always have to be bad.
Right.
We have to, I think we have more in common with other than differences. And sometimes we get caught up in this,
in the noise of all of the
in this environment of noise and echo chambers and what have you. When if we just take a moment to step back and realize like, oh, this is a human, that's the quickest way to figure out where our similarities are.
Absolutely. Well, I just appreciated that you said that, because again, like I said, I was like, crazy. And then the next year I just went big and rapped for everyone. So
you certainly did.
And you know what? We reached our goal. So thank you, everyone. And I can reprise that rap again this year if you would like. No,
thank you for all your hard work. And I look forward to the album.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Oh, thank you. So let's start off our deeper conversation. And, right now it's a little hard to find good news and to feel good and excited about life. But we are going to bring this light and laughter to you right now. And we're going to share good news. So, Chris, please tell me something good.
Tell you something good. Well, I talked about my kids a lot, and what I think is good is having the opportunity to watch them grow and volunteer with activities at their school or their extracurricular sports, things like that, and get to see not only them, but their friends and the other parents. And you quickly realize that we are part of a great community. I only know this corridor area, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, as far as where I've lived. But I'm willing to bet that a lot of communities around our country have very similar vibes once you step out of the noise and just get down to, like you talked about, humanity and spending time with people and getting to know them outside of social media. We won't spend too much time on that. But I guess my good thing is just the feeling of community. The Cedar HO, the derecho of 2020 was awful. It was, a really devastating natural disaster in our community. But the way that everyone came together to help each other out, that was super uplifting for me. And honestly, that's part of why I still continue to feel so strongly about Cedar Rapids in particular. We have a wide range of beliefs and political views. We're a diverse community, but we all come together. And I think the people who live here believe in making it a great place for people to live. It's clear every day that I, see my kids come home smiling from school or go to their activities, things like that. So my something good is our community. There's a lot to be excited about. You mentioned the Cedar Rapids sign, our farmers markets thing, there's so many good things, new businesses, new development in the downtown area. It's just it's a good place to be.
It is. It absolutely is. We're very, very fortunate to have, and it's continuing to grow, right? Like I think back to 2008 when the floods came, which were devastating as well, sandbagged and, did things. And it was devastating to historical areas in our community. Yeah. And we rebuilt from that, and we rebuilt in such a fun way. Like New Bow came out of that, and Czech Village has been revitalized. And then you mentioned derecho, and it was devastating again. And we're like, how many times can this happen to us? Because in between 2008 and 2020, there were many different floods or hailstorms or tornadoes that came through. And we're like, how do we keep rebuilding? But 2020, it just proved that.
In the middle of a pandemic.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like we aren't as if we weren't already going through stuff. We got thrown, literally, a derecho came through our town. And if you don't know what that is, it's a land hurricane. We had there was really no warning. We've talked about it before, but it was the way
120 mile an hour winds and
Yeah.
sustained winds. They weren't, that's the biggest difference that I've used to describe it to people is it wasn't like it wasn't a gust of wind coming through every second. It was like somebody turned on a 120 mile an hour fan and left it on for 45 minutes. And it was
45. It was you know how Forrest Gump says the rain was sideways.
Yeah.
There's many types of rain, and that was sideways rain. And I was like, I've seen this rain before because I had been in a tornado, a hurricane 35 years ago, probably even longer. And I just remember the rain then. And so I was like, to my husband and my son, I'm like, this looks like hurricane. They're like, oh my God, you're so dumb. And then I was right.
Yeah.
Because mom's always right.
Dads are.
But regardless, my point was our town, our motto should be, we ain't got no quit. Listen, we have gone through a lot of different things, and it just keeps proving that we are stronger and stronger and stronger. So I love that is your Tell Me Something Good. And so anyone that is interested, in learning more about Cedar Rapids, Chris and I are here to help.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime.
So Chris, I would love for you to shout out a neighbor that is making an impact in our community and that you admire.
Yeah, you bet. So the Not Your Average Neighbors who I would like to shout out, it's not one, it's a group of people, men and women, and those are our high school and youth sport officials.
Yes.
We have an incredible shortage, not just in our state, but nationwide. And I am a high school football official. I've been doing it for 13 years now. I absolutely love it. I did basketball for a while as well, and then stepped back once we had our second son. But it's a pretty thankless gig, and
I'm sure
the more parents in particular yell from the stands and set that example of berating officials, the worse this problem is going to be of a shortage. Yeah. And I can promise you a high school football official does not care who wins or loses a game.
No,
they don't have anything on the game. They're out there because they enjoy it and because they need officials. If we run out of officials, your kids' sports are going to be in rough shape.
Right. Right.
And it's talk about community building activities. We need those types of events and opportunities for our young people so that they can be involved and build camaraderie with each other.
Absolutely. And as you say, the parents are, the biggest culprits of probably making this not appealing to people. And so maybe this is just an idea I'm throwing out. Maybe when kids start these sports, there needs to be like an accountability, like parents, you have to attend this before your kid can play, just to know what sportsmanship is like, because it's embarrassing for your kid, firstly, and secondly, it's not a good vibe.
I've often said that kids. the younger the kids, the worse the parents. And particularly like when I was doing basketball, I think I did varsity basketball for about 8 years, and I would do AAU tournaments and things like that. Fifth graders are dribbling down the court and the ball gets stolen, and then you've got parents cussing you out from the sideline. Right. And because everybody thinks their kid is going to be the next LeBron James, and really it should be about like encouraging them to get back on defense instead of yelling at the ref. Mm-hmm. It just rarely does it ever result in a change of the call. I don't know. I feel very strongly about it. It just goes back to officials are humans. Mm-hmm. We make mistakes. I have not had a perfect game in 13 years of officiating. There are calls that I miss. I'm fortunate to be on a crew with a bunch of other really great officials, and we support each other with our calls too. So, and we walk through them. But we have to remember that there's humanity out there, and I shouldn't say nobody, but the general vibe is officials are not acting maliciously to ruin your kid's JV football game,
Right.
Give them a break. And if you have an issue, take the class and go give up your time to be an official.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then just take a bit of that medicine and see how it really feels.
Or learn how to do it and uplift the fellow officials around you.
Uplift, inspire other people to do it. Amen. Yeah. That is a great way to spin it, because I'm like, we had bad experience leaving a team, and my husband co-founded the team, and my son, long story short, my son and the head coach didn't really probably get along very well. So it ended. And it was just, so I'm a little bitter Betty about sports, but I remember seeing these dads and moms, and maybe me, I don't know. I have a loud mouth, just what was that, and it's like, sometimes you can't help it, and it's not malicious, or you're just like, oh my God, but certainly it really embarrasses your kids when you do that too.
Yeah.
They don't want you doing that.
Yeah. I've volunteer coached a few of my son's teams, because I like it. I like helping the kids, but also because if I'm not involved in that way, I mean, who do I have to blame about anything? I want to have as much of a direct impact as I can. And so, and every sport that we sign up for, they're begging for coaches.
Yes.
So, just get involved, volunteer where you can, and don't.
And how do people, is there a cycle when do you start looking for fall season refs?
So for football, actually through the state annually, actually it just came out like a month ago, maybe, or a couple weeks ago, you register with the state, and then you select which sports you are interested in, and you pay a fee for that. And then there are also local associations people can get involved with as well. There's the Cedar Rapids Association. There's an Iowa City Association, all around the state, and they work with different assigners. Football, for example, we have our annual rules meetings coming up in August to prepare for the season, where especially newer officials, we go over the rule book basically front to back and talk about different scenarios. I would say just reach out to me. I'd be happy to get you in the right direction if any questions, but always looking for new officials. And it's one of those things, you do get paid, not a ton, but it's not volunteer work. I mean, we do get paid. You can set your schedule too. It's not like you need to be working 4 or 5 days a week type of thing. So just reach out to the local associations or a local official or myself, and I can help find a way to do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you for helping our youth have enjoyable experiences in sports. It's so important. What is the percentage of someone being a superior athlete and actually I think it's ridiculous. We think all of our kids are wonderful players. So just remind them of that. Have fun.
Yeah.
It's not bigger than
it's about learning how to be on a team.
Right. And, exactly. Yeah. And how to be on a team and
and working hard. And working hard to achieve a certain goal, even things like sports. I mean, you don't just show up at a golf tournament and hit below par. You have to show up and practice every day.
Right.
And it's bigger than just sports. I think those are accessible avenues to these types of lessons, because even in our jobs, as realtors, you have to practice it. You can't just show up on day one and think you're going to sell $5 million worth of real estate in the first month if you're not practicing it.
Right.
you have to show up and learn the process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I want to wrap up with a couple final things. I said, I noticed we both volunteered for junior achievement this year,
Mhm.
and we both did second grade. And I wanted to hear about your experience. Was this your first year doing it?
Yeah. And
Okay. So second grade.
yeah, so they sent out an email for my son's class. And I was like, sure, that's one way to
Yeah.
embarrass him.
Right.
He actually thought it was pretty cool. I think when I do it again, I might try to get a different time of day or work with the teacher to do that. I was at the end of the day at about 3:00 and they were checked out. So, but what I really loved about it was, I personally, I think I got better as each week went on too, because
Yes,
I've never
for sure.
done anything like that, how to look at a curriculum and teach it to kids. So all our teachers out there, you're all saints. We need more of you. It's
And didn't you feel exhausted after your little time?
I was whooped. Yeah,
Yeah. I was
couldn't
like,
keep up.
do they do this for 8 hours a day?
Yeah. So the whole curriculum that I taught was yours also about community.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
it's a really cool way to introduce the kids, not just to like financial understanding about economy and community, but also goods and services, things like that, and
Right.
just how everybody's more interconnected than we think sometimes. We're not just all walking around in bubbles.
Did your kids ever cry when you played the one game where they each got to pick a job and some of them didn't make as much money as others?
I don't think I had any tears. What did you do?
God. I was like, oh, kill me now. Like big crocodile tears. I'm like, I'm so sorry, but this is a lesson in life.
Yeah.
It really is.
I do think, if I remember correctly, there was a little girl in our classroom who was a hairstylist, maybe.
Yeah.
That was the job she was given, and she was raking it in. Everybody else was kind of like trying to figure out what they wanted to do. She, at the end of it, everybody starts with, I think, $10.
Right.
And at the end of it, we kind of counted up to see who had the most. I think she had like 42 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like didn't spend any money, but just was getting profit. And it was pretty funny because she was pretty.
Yeah, no, I legit had me want to cry. I was like, this is really painful, but kids.
Yeah, I liked that they asked a lot of
yes.
Great. Some were very good, some were just out of left field, but that also I think that helps us get into the mindset of an 8-year-old. How are they processing this? How are they thinking about it? I think sometimes we get, especially as we get older, we get caught up in, the regular everyday rat race that we don't slow down to think like, how are these younger people processing this world around them? It's okay to just slow it all down and start from the beginning.
Absolutely. And the truth bombs that they throw out sometimes, like, hold your breath. Like, seriously, like some things that they said, I'm like, oh, you have excellent community.
Yeah.
Wherever you are right now and whoever, you are getting taught really valuable things. So it's just always such a good thing. And this is my second year doing it. And I'll continue. And I think second grade is my jam because they're not quite yet smarter than me. Almost.
Yeah. They'll get there.
No, they will. That's why I like to get them at second grade. And they all think I'm so nice and funny and pretty and laughy and blah, blah, blah. So no, I just love that you had that opportunity this year. I was through her PR that I learned about that last year and how they were trying, Junior Achievement came and talked to our committee about it. And it was like, absolutely. Why start our own thing with the Realtor brand when Junior Achievement's here and has all of the tools? So it's a great experience. And if you're thinking about it, absolutely do it. Junior Achievement here in Cedar Rapids, Junior Achievement Eastern Iowa, I think it is. great group of leaders, and highly recommend. Highly recommend. And then the last thing I wanted to shout out or have you talk about a little more was that there is an upcoming event for Habitat for Humanity here in Cedar Rapids. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So coming up here on July 12th, Cedar Valley Habitat for Humanity is having our Bags for a Build tournament. It's a bags tournament. It's organized by the Cedar Rapids Area Association of Realtors, our Habitat Committee, chaired by Stephanie Schumacher, and we have got 30 plus volunteers on that committee. It's just a really awesome group of people who come together. It's honestly my favorite committee because the whole mission of that committee is to raise money for Habitat throughout the year. With fun, exciting events. I got to give a lot of credit to Steph, but really starting to find the sweet spot and hitting groove on these are the successful events. These are the ones we can keep coming back to. Bags for is one of those. It's at Sagwagon on July 12th. I believe doors open at 10. Event starts at 11. I don't know price. I forget that. Maybe $30 or something per team. I could be off, but don't.
And there's some players that play.
There are, but it's also
very serious.
It's double elimination, so someone's got to win the losers bracket. And there's also door prizes, raffles, all kinds of stuff.
And if you don't play bags, there's always there's several opportunities to raise money or give them some money, donate your money with 50-50. Or do you guys paint paddle things again?
Yep. And if you can take a chance to win certain prizes, we have a lot of great donations for that. Or you can go around the silent auction area and buy it like I did a couple of years ago. And after a couple drinks, chose to just buy the Pop-A-Shot, which like an arcade basketball game.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah, totally fits in my basement. Whoops. Not a great move on my part, but raised money.
That sounds really cool, though.
My boys love it. My wife wasn't super thrilled when I was putting it together in the basement, but regardless, it's a great event. Lots of fun. Even if you don't play bags, show up and hang out. It's a time.
Absolutely. So that's July 12th.
11 a.m.
And we also have Pride that day. So I'm hoping I'm going to say hello and check out all the things. And then I'm going to go down to Pride Fest. And then we have to go to Boji. It's a busy week.
Yeah, definitely. They're all busy, though. I can't believe it's already almost July.
I know. June went by so fast.
Yeah.
And we were just in Washington, D.C. At the beginning of the month, and it's almost gone. I can't even believe that. And that is one thing I would like to say. It was so lovely. Like, I didn't have to be there this year. I chose to come because I wanted to see what it was about. And Raymond always has a great time at it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to check it out. And I was so fortunate to have time with you and Jay, who is our vice president-elect. Or no, vice president, president-elect.
President-elect.
Thank you. We'll get there. And it was just such a great experience. And we a little sightseeing, and it was just really cool. So
yeah,
that is another great memory that I have of our friendship. So thank you, Chris Terukina, so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I know you got to go, and we are going to let you go and do all the things, all the good things that you do. Thanks for being not your average neighbor.
Thanks, Ann. Parting words to everyone. You're doing great.
Oh, yes. Everyone's doing great. Keep up the good work. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're funny. All of the things. Okay, well, that is the end of our episode. And don't forget to like, share, listen, because we do like listeners. And we have a Facebook page. We have YouTube. Hello, I'm a YouTuber now. Who knew? And we have Amazon Music, Spotify. You can find us wherever podcasts are on. So look at so many opportunities. Again, thanks, Chris. We will see you next week. My very special guest will be the Lexi Bell. And if you don't know, you're going to find out. And I'm pretty excited about it. But thanks so much. And we'll see you next time.